monkeys, I hope you are well. Today's video is a nice laid back one. School holidays killing my life as usual. I have talked about creative books a whole heap on our Patreon site. I always stress how important they are and how useful they are, and I, as a influencer, which makes me laugh every time I say that, get contacted by a stack of companies trying to get me to push their products, to show their products, blah 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 blah. And I've said no to pretty much every single one of them bar two, I think. But I got contacted recently by 3D Total Publishing, which is a publishing company that publishes creative books and art books, and I couldn't possibly say no to that. There will be a YouTube channel, a YouTube video, because that is part of what they asked me for, a YouTube video. But of course I wanted to sit down and talk about the books that they sent me. I picked the titles, and like I picked a few titles and they sent me I think all but one book, and I think the one book that they didn't send was because it was a really quite huge chunky hardcover book, and I think that's probably why, me being in Australia, shipping probably cost them a pretty penny. Now, I already owned one of the books on the list that they sent me, and this is this book, which you know I adore and loved so deeply when I bought it myself, and I love poring over these types of books. These are some of my favorite types of books to own, where they are from like the artist perspective. It's not them saying, you know, this is step 1, step 2, step 3. It's really about showing their process, their sketches. So this is like pages from my sketchbook, and it shows all the different techniques and feels and what they do and their creative voice. Oh, I have to be very careful. I almost tipped my tea over there. I might just move that over here. And I loved this book. This book was so beautiful. It is so beautiful, and I constantly have it close by because it's filled with absolutely beautiful pictures. It is kind of the book that if I ever wanted to create a book myself, this would be the style that I would do it in. I don't want to do a DIY step-by-step book. I want to do just an eye candy, artistic, creative, inspiring book that would just be lots of beautiful pictures, thoughts, inspiration, all that sort of thing, not just this is how I do things. And this is the kind of book that I absolutely love. She's got tips and things throughout the book, but a lot of it is just generally her take and her creative voice and her favorite things. Oh, man, I love these so much. And when they contacted me and showed me their like their list of books that they sell, and they also do Kickstarters for artists, and this is why I said yes. And I think it's because they're giving the artists that are very, very popular and aesthetically beautiful and talented a voice and a way to share their work. And one of the artists in particular is the Iraville, and I absolutely love her work. I've been watching her on YouTube for a really long time. I follow her on Instagram, and this was one of the books that I was most excited for. I also got the sketchbook of Loish, Art and Project, and the Art of Loish, another artist that I follow and I absolutely adore. And these guys have given these artists the opportunity to share their stuff, and if they get big enough, they become mainstream. Now, I actually bought the Hylica book off Book Depository, but it first started off as a Kickstarter over on 3D Total Publishing, and it grew, and she got the exposure she so definitely deserved. And so when I realized that it was this company that was doing it, I definitely had to say yes. And there is another book that they're currently Kickstartering, and I cannot remember the title, but I did say if possible, when that becomes available, I'd love a copy of that, and they said yes, because I will leave that book and the Kickstarter up on the screen and a link down below. And so I already had this one. This was one of the books that they offered me, and I said, look, I already own this book. It is stunning. And so I picked the Sketching from the Imagination, Creatures and Monsters. And so this one, I've looked at this book a few times. There's a couple of iterations of this, and this is all from different artists and their takes on sketching monsters, putting monsters together. There's there's like some really cute guys at the front. I mean, some of this is really grotesque and not my kind of thing, but I appreciate the tips and the tricks they give for morphing and creating your own monsters. And I definitely could work my magic through some of the more gruesome sort of alien-esque stuff and get, like, look at that, man. This is the best. These were the ones that I just absolutely loved, and this artist is Bialek Stella, or Stella Balak. So I'm definitely going to be looking her up and looking at her work, because they just make me smile, and I absolutely love the way that she draws them. It's very, very similar to what I do with my little creatures, but I loved them. So I definitely am going to have fun sort of searching through this book. There are so many beautiful things, and yep, some of them are just not my cup of tea, but I can appreciate them, and I can also read the tips and tricks, because a lot of it is them talking about how they do things, what they do, what they look for, what they trial, and that sort of stuff is so valuable to me. It's always a challenge to find a good way to fit the parts together, making sure that it's believable in its transition. So it talks about how you can morph other things and how you create your monsters. That sort of information, disregarding the actual visual, is so important when you want to make your own creatures and make your own monsters. So I can take those tips and tricks out and totally disregard the fact that it's sort of alien-esque, which for someone who loves monsters like myself and creatures and things, I hate space and I hate aliens, and I so hate saying that out loud, because I know there's so many space buffs in here and there's so many alien lovers. I'm just not about that life. I don't know why I'm so against it, because there's probably some really cool creatures and monsters out there, but as soon as space and aliens come into it, I just glaze over and tap out. And a lot of this stuff is very alien-esque, but the information and the tips that they give throughout the book is totally worth sitting through all the weird and wonderful. And I just love watching how they morph things. It gives me ideas on how to sort of grow as a creature creator myself, because even though I love what I do and I do what I do well, I always want to learn how to grow and add dimension and layers to my monsters to make them more, not realistic, but to give them more depth and make them grow from a more 2D type thing to something that's more sophisticated. And that is one of my hopes in doing like research through this, like sitting there and taking lessons from books like this. Obviously this is like these are all different artists, so you're seeing different creature and artists from all over the world, which is great. That's one of the things I love about books like this, is that you're getting more than one point of view. You're looking at someone whose work who goes from that stellar person at the front to something like this, which is just grotesque as heck. But they probably have totally different ways of creating creatures and what they do and how they put things together. Like these guys are really cool. Like she's adorable. This is, some of these I cannot even pronounce. Kesnia Bacavera. But they have some really cool ways of like these sorts of things. Just in the shape, like if you look at his body shape, I would take a body shape and do something with that. And that's something else that I have trouble with, trying to think of more dynamic poses for my creatures. And doing this sort of thing is why I have these sorts of books in my collection. And I should be spending like at least one day a week going through these and having a sketchbook next to me and really just doing a whole heap of sketches to get my hands used to trying different things and having those moments where I don't care about the finished product. I'm just training my hands to do things, and I think I might have to schedule that into my days, or like a day a week or an hour or so, and just do that off camera and enjoy looking at other people's work and looking at their lines and their shapes and their poses and trying to use my monsters in that way, if that makes sense. So there is sketching from the imagination. That's the more in-depth hardcore one. These three are just beautiful eye candy, and I loved that they came in these sleeves. This feels like almost not embossed, but it feels textured, and when I saw that I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad I said yes to this. And so they come like this. This was probably the one I was most excited about because I love Aravel so much. Iraville, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, and I love how they are like, look, can you see it? It's all indented in there. There's just small touches that make things so beautiful. And the books are also signed. All three of them are signed by the artist because obviously they've come straight from them. If I was to order this from Book Depository, I obviously wouldn't have this. I don't know if this always happens, but I was very grateful to have, because this is a sticker, and I loved it. I love it so much. These types of books are so beautiful to have in your collection. Because I love looking at color palettes, at texture, at the way that she draws things, she paints things, her shading in her faces. Everything that this woman does is just beautiful perfection, and there's a certain feel to her work that I love looking at. It just gives you that warmth and comfort and homey feeling, and I tend to look at people's work that give me that feeling when I'm feeling a little bit low, a little bit crappy. These are the sorts of things that I would pull out and just sit with and enjoy. And definitely eye candy aroma. This is slightly different. These pages are sort of not glossy, but they have that sort of slick feeling, where the other ones are more matte. That's probably me. The only thing I didn't like about the book was I didn't like the way the paper felt, and I don't know if that was a preference of hers or not, because all the other ones that I got are that textured feeling. She could have decided to have hers feeling differently. I do not know, but I just absolutely love the way that she talks about things, and it's all from the artist's voice. And they're like, I'm a night person. She talks about the way that she works. I haven't gone through these thoroughly, and I definitely want to do stuff like that before I make my YouTube video, but I really know that you guys love a good book perv, and I needed a nice easy video to make during school holidays. And when these turned up on my doorstep and they were so beautiful, I knew that this was the one. So talking about workspaces, and obviously all these beautiful photographs that I love. I love the look of pencils, and like this sort of stuff. It's this sort of stuff that I would have in my own book. Definitely. That just makes me happy. Just makes me happy. And I like that they're not perfect and they're not stylized. They're just beautiful pictures of used and loved supplies, and that is one of my favorites. She talks about her people and the way that she does things, and they have just all different types of her work, which I absolutely adore. And there's also these cats in here. Oh my god, if you're a cat lover, you're gonna go nutso. I like that they show different poses, because that really helps me with my posing, whether it be a monster pose. And I love that she's got like chunky girls, not just like that. If I could paint her hair pink, there's little Raven, that would be me, man. Like little chunky girl. And I like the texture of things. She also talks about what they're made with. So if something's done with watercolor, with colored pencil, graphite girls, graphite pencils. It's just so beautiful. All this sort of stuff just makes me happy. And I assume that you can see a lot of this on her Instagram feed, but I like having a tangible product that I can like shut off. And I talk about that a lot, not being near social media, but looking at my beautiful books and really enjoying them from that aspect. I'm going to pause in a minute because my battery's flashing and I don't want to be halfway through a sentence and it just die, which definitely could be the way. This sort of stuff to me is just the bomb. I love looking at the clothing, I love looking at the poses, I love looking at the texture shapes, and she does such beautiful colorways, like the teal and the orange. And you know I'm not an orange fan, so like the teal, red, orange, and the shading, her shadow shading just makes me so happy. So she's got like tips for watercoloring, things like don't be upset over messed up paintings, they are part of the learning curve. You may lose paper and paint, but you will gain experience. Oh my god, that is such a good one. Oh, I need to sort of write these down in my bullet journal. Don't compare or measure your art with others. Try your own personal way of doing things. Do it your way, because other people's paths are not yours. You do not need to learn how to draw realistically, but it's definitely helpful to learn from real life. If you understand the things you want to draw, you will be able to simplify them more easily. Technique is not just about drawing skills, it's equally important to have knowledge of composition, color theory, shapes, angles, movement, and other basic designs. Don't try too hard to find your own personal style. It's not you that finds a style, but the style that finds you. It will develop naturally over time. So there's like 9 tips here, and I've just read almost half of them. They are all nuggets of inspiration and so relevant to what we as artists go through, whether it be our journals or our art. We're always asking ourselves these questions. We're always doing these things, comparing ourselves. Even me, believe me, I am always on that comparison cow. I hate it. I just, ugh. It makes me angry that I do it, but I know that everyone else around me does exactly the same thing. So they have lots of different workings. She does show a painting from start to finish, which I appreciate that as well. And it definitely gives you an idea about how many stages a painting and how much layering goes into her work, which you never really see when you watch speed paints and things. And she talks about how she alters them digitally. Oh man, just everything about this book is just so good for the artistic soul on one of those days, one of those nights with a hot cup of tea and a book. This is the book. Cozy Days is for real. Right, new battery. Let's just zoom in a little bit so you don't see all my desk. There's some cats coming up that is just the best. So there's lots of landscape work, which is what her houses and her landscapes are what I knew her the most about. And they probably were my favorites. And her color choices. This is the sort of stuff that I really loved about her. Her color palette was just so different from mine, and it intrigued me no end. And I love her trees and her use of layering. She talks about making her own watercolors, which I will never do. I'm just not that way inclined. And then she comes up to the animals, and I didn't know that she did animals, and I don't know why, because I follow her on all the different mediums. But with algorithms these days, things don't get shown up, and if I don't physically go and look, I will miss these things. But I'm also pleasantly surprised, because I was like, oh my goodness, animals, and her birds. And I love that she's put them in like these little vignettes. So cute. Just wait for the cats, man. The cats. Oh my god, look at the cats. When I flipped the page open to the cats, I lost my shit. I really am a crazy cat lady, and I never thought to put cats in clothing like this. I mean, I did because I had my scarf animals, but look at them, the little fashionistas, and some dogs if you're a dog person. The whales. She talks about binding your own sketchbook, which I loved. There are like just little bits and pieces throughout here that are really lovely. And then she goes into her buildings and her houses, which is another one of the things that I knew her the most for. Just her little scenery with all the little buildings. I roughly indicate the perspective, but I also try to get it wrong on purpose. I don't even have to try to get it wrong. I just get it wrong. So I'm ahead of the game. My wonky abilities are gonna work for me one day. But even though they look wrong, oh, I guess, like, this would be something I would do. Like, I love everything this woman does. And I'm so glad that this company gives these artists the ability to have a book and it be exactly what they want. Inside her sketchbook, I love a good sketchbook curve. I make little color swatches as a memory aid. These. I allow mistakes to happen, so it's inevitable that some of the sketches look ugly in the end. She must paint so much it's okay to make mistakes, and I guess that is part of it. I love the plants, the cactuses. I've basically shown you the entire book, but me flipping really quickly is not enough. Like, I am so glad that I have this. Homemade paper stretcher, and all that. And then it talks about 3D. So it says 3D Total Publishing is an independent publisher specializing in inspiration and educational resources for artists. Our titles proudly feature the stunning artwork of top industry professionals who share their experience in step-by-step tutorials and guides, offering you creative insight, expert advice, and essential motivation. Initially focused on the world of digital art with comprehensive volumes covering Photoshop. That was one thing I did see. All the big, huge digital art books. I'm so glad that they've like moved over into more traditional artists as well. And I totally love that they asked me to sort of show some of their books, because I know that these are the types of books that I love to own, and these types of things are so inspirational. I love these types of books way more than step-by-step guides, because they offer so much more for my eyes. They offer so much in a way of just research, and I don't want to be taught someone else's style, but I want to be inspired by someone else's style, whether it be trying their color palette, whether it be trying their way of shading something but using my own images, if you get what I mean. I don't want someone to go, this is how you draw, you know, a person in my style. That's not helping me creatively in my stage in my life. I know they have a place, and they're very, very important for people who are beginning and learning, but some of these books are very inspirational for showing you different ways and showing you compositions and color palettes, and the advice, like those tips, are spectacular. And I don't think those step-by-step books really give you those little tips and tricks like that. I have a few in my collection and I appreciate them for what they are, but these are the types of books that I love and want. And obviously I love a good eye candy. I love eye candy, but I also really love owning the books like this, because they represent what I think is what I enjoy looking at and what I enjoy. Obviously my style is so very different to this, but I love looking at this sort of stuff just for inspirational purposes. I almost bought this book at the Japanese bookstore. It was one or the other, I can't remember which one, but I almost picked it up. And again, it's got the this one's the matte paper. And I love sketchbook books. I love watching people's stuff that isn't perfected and pristine and awesome, and is full of these gesture sketches. So you can definitely see where her sketches go from the beginning, and how she does things from step by step. And sketchbooks are such a great way to look, and she does a lot of digital work, but I love that this focused more on her actual sketching and sort of that sort of stuff, like this sort of stuff. I don't do this sort of stuff, and I should be doing this sort of stuff. I obviously don't know anatomy very well, and I probably could do with a dose of it. I like all the stylization, so doing things in all different styles. So she's primarily a digital artist, but she obviously does all her prelim stuff in a sketchbook. Talks about sketching digitally, speed painting. This just makes me happy. I'm not sure if she actually sketches digitally as well, maybe. Maybe, but either way, they're just beautiful. I love seeing pages of just the same things over and over and over. This may not be everyone's cup of tea, but it definitely shows me things that I'm interested in, like working on concepts and how you can create things and doing it in different positions, and that's something that I lack that ability, and it's something that I always want to try and work on. And so this talks about how she goes from a sketch to a digital painting, I'm assuming, because she is digital. These were so beautiful to look at. And like her color palette is also really lovely. I love all the cool tones, all the blues and the pinks, and sort of this weird sort of blushy peachy color, as opposed to looking at Iravel's, and hers is all like browns and greens and earth tones. So really sort of breaking out into a different color palette is something that I want to try more as well, and obviously have been doing that with my junk journaling and trying to sort of do different, like look at different things. So this is constructing a digital illustration, and that sort of stuff isn't important to me, but I could definitely do the same thing not digitally, and just sketch as well. I mean, I do a lot of digital work for collage sheets, but not like this. I don't color very often digitally. I find that I enjoy the other stuff a lot more. Capturing movement and gestures. Keep it simple, don't go into too much detail, think fast. Line weight, so all these are like little tips and tricks at the back. Textured brushes, this would be for obviously digital sketching and stuff. So there is that one. And then this one is the art of hers. I'm pretty sure maybe it was this one that I was going to pick up. I'll probably chat a little bit about my bullet journal as well, since this is just creative books today. I might move these ones over here so that I can flatten out this book. Oh, that's a little bit better. Talking about her early work, and this is like 12 years old, and I'm like, wow, 12 years old. Remaking old artwork. Behind the scenes. Talking about her workspace, and as you can tell, she's definitely a digital artist, so her sketching must be digital as well, which is totally okay. But I much prefer the Iravel and the Hylica book over the Lowish stuff, and that's not because she's digital. I think it's the subject matter of Iravel and Hylica is more to what I can see myself drawing. I think her stuff is stunning, and I'm so glad that I still have them, because they do have, so like I said, those tips and tricks and those important information things are so important to read, and definitely something that I will sit down and look through and take notes on, and definitely have a section in my bullet journal for notes on these books, because I think that they have, every artist has a voice and has experience that I don't have, and has information and tips and things that I don't have and would love to sort of learn. And even if it is digital, obviously her tips can be applied mostly to traditional means as well. I think her work is absolutely stunning though, absolutely stunning. So they are the books that I got from 3D Publishing. Obviously the Cozy Days one is my favorite, and if I was to, like, if I didn't own this one already, this one would have been one of the ones that I picked for sure. and they have other titles as well, and I absolutely love these books so much. And the other one, I will put the title down below, that's currently in the Kickstarter phase, so it's obviously going to get made because I think it's already past goal. So hopefully if they send that to me, I will definitely get on that. So let's talk bullet journal, shall we? All right, since I've chatted about books and I said it would be a very laid back video today, school holidays, bullet journal, I haven't been doing my updates for the bullet journal One Book July because it's just, I feel like it's so boring. I've just realized I'm currently watching someone Overwatch streaming. This is Sachi, who I love watching, and I forgot to turn her down because I like staying with the stream on because I'm a gamer girl, and I enjoy Overwatch thoroughly. I've only been playing for about 2.5 months, 3 months, and I am totally addicted. Anyway, moving right along from the nerd talk, I've started my collections. I finally, on the weekend, I had the girls over, and my daily pages are really epically boring. I've started some One Book July notes when I make a video, if I make a video for YouTube. Sian lettered me the word Japan. I typed in my bookmark, I added a cherry blossom, and I also put a budget post-it note that I have to fill in. I actually scanned when Sian was here. I should have flipped her One Book July book because it is a pretty amazing. This woman goes like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then she does it. It's amazing, and I was meant to flip it because it is just so beautiful. She's doing her journaling and everything in the one book. I couldn't commit to that because I knew that it was just going to be ridiculous. She's using an A5 dot grid cheapy notebook from Officeworks, so it's been lovely to watch her work in that. And she showed me also her junk journal, which is just is humongous now. She actually took the covers off and put it into a traveler's notebook so it had room to grow. Again, I should get her to come back before school holidays come over so I can show you and flip you guys. She's actually started the Japan her wish list things that she wants to do. So I just scanned her page and sort of cut everything out. And I'm trying to work out how I'm going to put them onto my own page. What is that? Somehow, I don't know. Or I'll make a pocket and then put them all in here or something. But she's got like gardens that she'd like to visit, parks and museums, other things, temples and shopping. We're actually going to be in Japan for her birthday, and she wants to go to a hedgehog cafe for her birthday, and we're going to do it because we are dragging her to Disney. She doesn't want to go to Disney, but Sam and I pull rank, we're strength in numbers, and we're making her go. And I think she's going to have an amazing time, and she's being a bum. So I've made a Patreon page, a gratitude page. I was putting off making my collections pages because of me not lettering very well. I can't letter to save myself, but I just got over it. I also made a collage, which means I have to go get my brain dump book that I have been using, that's got all my sort of other crap in it that I can transfer over. Collections that I've thought about is YouTube video ideas, Etsy collages, Etsy goals, merchandise ideas, and a lot of these things I already have sections started in my chunky brain dump book, so I want to transfer some of my better ideas, because the whole thing about bullet journaling is being intentional, and is it worth staying? I mean, in my other book it's kind of just a complete vomit of ideas, and some of them are just ridiculous and they'll never be made, they'll never be chased into something else. So I want to go through them and look at them critically and think, will this ever become something? Does it have the what's the word I'm looking for, the substance to be something better than just an idea on a page? And if it's not even going to make these pages. Only legitimate ideas that I feel could be transferred or translated into something bigger and more meaningful. month in review, and that was something that Sian was doing, a week in review pages in here with sort of things that happen and things like that. I think I'll probably do a month in review because I don't want to do weekly stuff, because my life is not that epic where I need weekend reviews, because I do a lot of the same stuff day in, day out, and obviously it's school holidays at the moment, so maybe a little bit more. Actually no, we have done absolutely nothing these school holidays. I need to pick up my mama game, take my kids out to the movies and to the city and stuff, because we've just been at home. I mean, the kids love it because they get to play on their screens and stuff, but I kind of want to remove them from some screen time. So that's another reason why I was doing a more laid back video that didn't require a whole heap of effort, because it's school holidays and I feel like I need to be a mum at the moment and not just a girl boss. I've thought about weight loss goals and tracking and health goals and positive quotes. I think I might do like a positive affirmations section that I could refer back to. I haven't been doing the reflections like Ro's been doing, and I think that's probably why I'm having, no, it's not the one thing that I'm having issues. Like I haven't done heaps in this book. I mean, I haven't used anything else bar, like I'm still in the one book July phase, but I'm not adding lots of things to my bullet journal. But then again, I think, is it important? Is it necessary? Which is like that reflection video that Ro did, and I go, no, it's not. So that's probably why my pages haven't grown as fast as they normally would, because I'm not adding every single thing that possibly could go in these pages, and I'm just putting down the things. Like I want to do a studio vlog this month, and I've got like B-roll footage that I'd like to include, so I put down stuff that I wanted to film for that studio vlog for the overlays and sort of give it that extra dimension other than just me working. I've got, you know, when I ordered something, I ordered Elijah a new pair of gaming headphones. It's nothing amazing, but there are still tasks that have been written every day and have been migrated over and over and over, and they're not getting done. And I don't know if that's because I just don't want to do them. I keep putting them off, but they have to be done, like wrapping my niece's birthday presents and sending them off. I've had that since the start of the month. It has been almost in my top 3 every other day, and I just haven't done it, and I don't know why. So I think I might have to do like a spend a day with me and sort of show you how I use my bullet journal, which is pretty basic, and working in it and then ticking things off my list. So stuff like making the background packs for out of space. So like making my background packs for Etsy and making my my vintage packs for Etsy. That's been on my to-do list. It's on my monthly one, like the thing that I have at the front for like monthly tasks, and it's been on several of these daily pages and hasn't gotten done. And I don't know if it's just because it's school holidays and the kids take so much energy out of me that I haven't been doing it. I was working here the other day and Lily missed me so much that she sat directly opposite me with her iPad just to be in my presence. Stuff like that kind of makes me feel bad, and I think, well, do I need to be spending that extra time doing the Etsy stuff, or can it wait till the school holidays are done when I don't have kids that want my time and attention? So it's kind of like trying my very best to juggle my work with being a mum, especially during school holidays. It's really flippin' hard to make those choices and stuff like that. I mean, Elijah would stay inside and play his iPad and his games all day. He's a gamer at heart, and that's his happy place. But Boo's a little bit different. She wants to go out and explore and do things, and so trying to find those balances is very, very, it's hard. And it's also been really crappy weather. So what else have I got? A bucket list, a gratitude collection, and that was another thing that I didn't have. I started a gratitude list. I put that in there because I thought that was I thought that was important. I have a social media tracker and I had an income tracker, but I don't want to put, I think I wrote those down and I was like, nah, I don't think I need that in my life I don't need to be tracking numbers. It just makes me paranoid. It just makes me have that sort of comparison feeling, and if the numbers aren't great, then I'm going to be questioning who I am, what am I doing, what are my life choices, and I don't want that. So I think I might put a reading list in here, because again, I go through stages where I read stacks of books, where I read 8 and 9 books a month, and then I read nothing for 2.5, 3 months, which is currently where I am at the moment. So yeah, there are lots of different things, and I'm enjoying it, and I do enjoy the fact that I'm not being hindered by pre-dated pages like in my Hobonichi and in my other books. I'm not stressed about that fact now because I don't have them. I can just go with the flow. Like, this is the 5th of July, and then there's nothing until the 10th. Wow, why is that such a huge jump? That's 5 days. What did I lost a week? Must have been school holidays. It probably was school holidays. See? And I would visually know that, because on a predated one there'd be a huge blank. But this is the 10th, and I think, oh, it's probably because I was doing a whole heap. No, collage sheets got released on the 6th, so I think I was going through that phase of, oh my goodness, my brain's so tired from collage sheets. Maybe, not sure. I was still working, so I don't know what happened. But anyway, the 10th to the 13th. So there's gaps, and I'm okay with that. It's a-okay, probably the weekend and stuff like that. I'm way okay with having date jumps like that. But when I was having a dated planner, I was really stressed out because I'm like, oh, I'm not using my planner, and I've, you know, haven't done anything in forever, and I can definitely track when I was getting overwhelmed or when my depression was kicking in, when nothing was being planned and I was just barely making ends meet with my deadlines, because you've got deadlines, you've got to do things. I don't want to do anything majorly fancy because I just get overwhelmed, so I'm keeping everything very basic, as you can see. My forward planning's doing all right. I've got lots of things happening in October. There's a couple of things in September, at the end of September. So we're here, so we're halfway through here, so we've got one. We're heading into Japan very, very quickly. Sian's passport's coming. Still haven't planned everything, so that needs to get done, and that's all going to get done in here. But I always enjoy One Book July when I do it, and I am enjoying I haven't finished my book yet though, and my book is here. Is it got the I was reading it at the hairdresser, but I'm very close. I might actually finish it. Oh, see, this is all like people's see, the Calendex, I just don't, all the beautiful, this sort of stuff overwhelms me. I appreciate it from a distance, but it stresses me out. See, like a gratitude log. So I don't have that much habit tracking. Did you really, I'm losing focus. When I made my habit tracker, it was for a week and not for a month, and I don't know why my brain said 1 square would be enough, and I'm pretty sure, I don't even know if I've talked about this, but I feel like it's all. And then when I realized it was only for a week, I was like, meh. So I didn't fill it in. Man, I suck at this stuff. I need to be more accountable, and I need to do so much more. But I think I'm enjoying the process of the bullet journal. I think I need to work harder at putting the concepts into practice. And I think as I get more into my notebook, I will be more inclined to do that. And once I start filling some of my collections and things and sort of making it work, I mean, the next couple of months are going to be very, very busy, which is when this is going to come into its own. Obviously with school holidays, things are a little bit more quieter, as I'm not doing as much because I'm trying to focus on hanging out with the kids and stuff like that. But I definitely think once the kids go back to school next Tuesday that things will sort of amp up a whole heap more, and I'll talk a bit more about it. And I think maybe I'll do like a day in my life with my bullet journal when the kids go back to school, when I'm working at full strength, not just half, which is currently where I am at the moment, because sometimes you just got to be a mum first and a girl boss second. I am really enjoying my journal. I don't know if I could put my journal into my bullet journal because of the amount of tip-ins and things that I do. I totally appreciate how people do one book for everything, and essentially it's in the same cover, but like Sian, hers is like it's all in there, which I really love, and I hope that I can get a flip of it, or even get her to put it in the Facebook group so you can see her pages. And I'm kicking myself that I didn't get my camera. I just wasn't thinking, because they were in there for a day. There was not a sleepover situation. Sleepovers probably would have gotten a flip because I would have remembered. But I am really hoping that I can finish my journal, because I've got quite a lot of photos and things. I've been forcing myself to take more photos and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try and finish this for this month and see how I go. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think that's enough talking for today. I feel like I've talked your ears off. I don't have anything else to show you except those beautiful books. If I was to recommend any, I would definitely recommend the Cozy Days one the most, because it is just so beautiful and I love her work so much. And I also really love the Monster and Creature one, even though it's got a lot of sort of gruesome stuff. I like having the perspective of a whole heap of different artists, and I definitely like the fact that I'm going to sit down and take notes on these books. So it's definitely going to have some book collection called Book Notes, and then sort of put the book itself and pages and quotes and things, which I'm going to probably do today, especially with those tips that I just read out from the Irreville. Anyway, that's enough chatting. I hope you've enjoyed this very laid back video. I'll probably do a quick little preface at the start saying, oh no, because it's eye candy. You can't just sit and listen. You can, but like, I'm literally showing you beautiful books, so maybe I won't put the preface. I'm babbling. Hubby and I have been going to bed at like 1 AM every night, and it's taking a toll. I don't know if we think we're teenagers or what, but we've been gaming until like 11:30 and then watching Blown, which is all about glass blowers. It's like a glass blowing competition, and it's addictive. Oh my god. Have a wonderful day, guys. I'm already losing my voice, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.
Like little knives. Part of me thought you would have fought it. Can't say that I was surprised. Oh, 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 oh. So done with you. Yeah, I'm so done with you. And I thought you'd changed, but you go back to the same old ways. Yeah, I'm so done with you. Good. A warning shot for the other boys. Give my thanks only like an ex could. Now I know I made the right choice. Oh, 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 oh. the same old ways. Yeah, I'm so done with you. I woke up in the middle of the night. Na, na, na. And I wondered how you're always right. It gets me. I couldn't see what you saw in me. Ooh, na, na, na. But you showed me how to believe.